So, unfortunately, there's nothing but bad news for Square Enix when it comes to future PC releases. I want to go into detail about that, but there is a lot of information to cover. So, where we're going to start here is with Final Fantasy XVI, and with this. Final Fantasy XVI bombs on PC and devastating loss for Square Enix. Now, this might come as a bit of conflicting information, because if you go over to Steam, you'll see that, my negative review aside, the game is sitting at very positive recently and mostly positive overall. The issue, though, is that this game was originally console exclusive to the PS5, as is a lot of their releases here recently. Square Enix is notorious for having some of the absolute worst PC ports. And it would be one thing if this were with their lesser known series and franchises like their indie titles, but this is with pretty much everything, including Final Fantasy, which is Square Enix's flagship series. Of course it is. It is the game franchise that Square Enix is most known for purchasing, or for owning, publishing, developing, all of that. So, what's going wrong with this game? Not only is the PC port of Final Fantasy XVI absolutely, completely unacceptable in both its optimization, its size, it is also a game that deviates heavily from the Final Fantasy formula that has built its fan base over the course of 35 plus years now. So, on console, it's sold relatively well in Japan. Something like, what did they say? Launched just over 336,000 physical units sold. That's just physical. We know that digital sales and international sales and all of that. It's bombing on PC because people already knew all of the story events from the people who played it on console first. They knew that it was going to be heavy with cutscenes, light on RPG elements, and it would have a lot of flair, but not a lot of substance. So even though it's doing positive reviews for the people who have bought it for the most part, you'll notice that even those reviews are kind of low. 9,000 reviews under this mostly positive, and only 1,500 reviews under recent reviews. That's really bad. That's really, really bad. For a mainline Final Fantasy game, that's awful. And the story doesn't get any better with Final Fantasy VII Remake, because again, that was a console exclusive. Then they had the nerve to bring that game to the Epic Games Store first, which a lot of people don't like, myself included. When it did finally release on Steam, it had the same performance issues that it had on the Epic Games Store, which, that I'm aware of, have not been fixed. And people were expecting the Final Fantasy VII Remake to either be different enough to stand on its own, without having to play the original Final Fantasy VII game, or be a one-to-one replica, a one-to-one remake of the events of the original story. Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't either of those things. It's not different enough to stand on its own, and it is definitely not a recreation of the original story. And this is in part 1. Now, a lot of people are saying that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the second part of the trilogy, is really, really good. And I don't doubt that. The problem is, and I knew this from the outset, the remake was going to live or die based off of the fate of a particular character, Eris. And the fact that Rebirth was once again a console exclusive game gave everybody the answer to the big question: is she going to die or survive? And now that people know the answer to that, depending on how you feel about the story of the original, or whether or not you wanted it to be different, a lot of people, I've talked to them, they don't want Rebirth on PC. If it comes out, they won't buy it. I'm not gonna buy it. When you have that many people saying that they're not going to buy part 2 of your 3-part series, what do you think that means for part 3? It's gonna mean poor sales. Square Enix needs desperately to work on their PC support. And again, this isn't just unique to Final Fantasy. Nier Automata and Nier Replicant are terrible PC ports. If you see a game that has Square Enix attached to it, you absolutely need to do your best to play those games on some sort of console. PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, whatever you can, because the PC version is almost always the most inferior way to play those games. And it's an embarrassment. These used to be genre-defining games, and they had the quality to back that up. These days, not so much. Now, I don't know about Stranger of Paradise, but I'm going to assume that it's going to have some sort of PC issues as well, seeing as how it was an Epic exclusive for a period of time as well. I didn't play Final Fantasy 15 on PC. Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy, those PC ports are okay. Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age is okay. But, you know, you have World of Final Fantasy, for example, is a game that I'd love to tell people that they should definitely try out, but unfortunately its PC port is abysmal, and it takes a lot of work to get it to run. Once you do have it running, it's a great game and a great entry to the series, but it's like, at what cost? Well, the cost is going to be their sales. I definitely anticipate Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's PC release to be even more lackluster than Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake. And I don't know what else they have coming to PC, but if they don't guarantee that those PC ports are as good or better than their console counterparts, they're just wasting their time. A lot of people do want these games to come to PC. That's not the question. The question is, well, how come all of the PC versions are so bad? Whoever's in charge of those ports is doing a terrible job, and they need to be replaced. But that's my thoughts and opinions about it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.